as well. Well, this afternoon, there's quite a bit to talk about, and so today we're going to have a cocktail of issues.
It's good to have you here one more time for the special edition of the Joy Sports
a whole lot of things happen during the week. And so today we're throwing the focus on the aftermath of the Black Stars and getting their campaign back on track. Also, the development within the Ghana Premier League. This afternoon, there's quite a bit to talk about, and so today we're going to have a cocktail of issues to talk about. Obviously, because we have seen, a whole lot of things happen during the week. And so today we're throwing the focus on, the aftermath of the Black Stars and getting their campaign back on track. Also, the development within the Ghana Premier League. Can any season go at all without any drama whatsoever? We were just jubilating over the ability of the season to go in line with the European season or aligning with the European season when trouble struck one more time. What was the trouble? It was Real Tamale United fielding a whole host of players who were not registered. Players coming to impersonate their original players who have duly been registered with the Ghana Football Association in that game against the side Dreams FC in Daewoo. So a lot to talk about. What will it be for RTU in the eventual scheme of things based on some of these troubles that have happened to other clubs in the past? And where are we drawing the balance in terms of the very stringent measures at the Ghana Football Association to check on their systems and the flow of procedures when it comes to match-day operations? All of these and more we're going to be discussing as we go along. And also, is politics creeping gradually into our space? Is partisan politics creeping into the space, especially during this year as we build up to the presidential and parliamentary elections? Well, it's a very big concern because the Black Challenge, who braved through all sorts of odds to win the African Championship, winning the AFCON, now come back to Ghana and have a bit of a protocol breach. Well, the main arm of government or the main agency of government within our sector obviously is the Ministry of Youth and Sports. The team happened to have paid a visit to His Excellency, the former President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, who's also leading the NDC into December's elections, and he eventually gifted them a gift, gifted them $10,000 for their efforts in bringing Ghana glory. Now they go later to visit the Minister for Youth and Sports, and his words were very stern and very straight. We will be visiting all of those, and we will be paying, some attention to it as well. And of course, the Ghana Premier League is wrapping up this weekend. The Euros have started, and who is your money on? Who do you think is going to pick this one up? Are the host Germany looking as good as they were back in 2014 when they defeated the whole world? This time it was at the FIFA World Cup. But well, how good is the situation looking? And of course, the man Tony Cruz and all that big legacy that he has left and what he's going to contribute to this full campaign. All of these and more will be here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nathaniel Attoh. Joining us for these conversations are our friends from outside of here and friends internally as well. We'll be starting off the conversations with seasoned football analyst and coach Nana Agyeman. Nana Agyeman has been monitoring the issues from a distance, and he's got thoughts. He hasn't been here on the show in a bit, and he's got big thoughts to share with us. Now, before we get into the main issues, let's spend some time on this protocol breach that has happened with the Black Challenge, which is the national men's amputee football team, who are the champions of Africa. Now, they went in there and defeated teams including Morocco to achieve this very big feat. So they get back to Ghana with the trophy and are unable to meet the Minister for Youth and Sports on schedule, and so go ahead to meet the former president, John Dramani Mahama, who gives them $10,000 for their effort. And then earlier yesterday, beg your pardon, when they visited the Minister for Youth and Sports, he was very, very blunt and wouldn't mince any words about his disappointment at the way the team went about visiting, the former president as against coming there first or coming to the ministry first. Now, let's take a listen to his thoughts, and then we can spend a bit of time on it. You know, you'd find a national team go through this, and the question is, what lessons do we want to learn from there, and what is the right thing to do protocol-wise? We've all been used to the national teams normally going, you know, to the ministry or probably to the presidency, even before granting interviews sometimes. That's what we've been used to. So let's quickly take a listen to the Minister for Youth and Sports, and after that, we start off every other conversation here. This is the Joy Sports Link. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and do remember, we're here on this platform and also on YouTube. All right, so let's quickly take a listen to the Minister for Youth and Sports, and after that, we get the rest of the conversations going.
This country puts a lot of money into sports. And of course, we all like the Black Stars, we like the Black Bombers, we like...
This is a national team. The team sitting here is not a club. It's not your private property. When you are going to Egypt, if I haven't signed for you to represent our country, you cannot be there. So that is to the management who are here. And it is not only to you, but to entire national team. Once it's a national team and you are going to represent our flag, anytime you come, that's why when you are going, I delegated my director of FNA to come with you in Egypt. I made sure that communication went to the ambassador who is representing the president to make sure that whatever is supposed to be done, courtesies and protocols are accorded to you because you are representing our country. So when you come, after the successes and there is anything, the first point of call should be this office. We are not going to tolerate you using the state for your personal benefits. Once you come, all of us will then be making sure that whatever benefit that is supposed to accrue to you, just like we did in the previous time when you came, the $2,000 you all received never came into my pockets. It was for you because you represented us and you performed. And similar opportunity will be given to you. But if you realize that this time when you landed, unlike last year, yeah, but this is important. I just want the media to know. Unlike last year when you came here directly, this year you started going from one place to another place without even recourse to the government who sponsored you. And that cannot be tolerated. I have to put it to you, not only you, any national team. If it's your personal club, a private club, that is fine. That is your club. As national team, once you come, you should know that you are representing the government, the states. So that is what I just want to tell you. So I've asked the president of the Ghana National Para Team. We have seen that you have received a lot of donations, which is good for us. You should account for it because it's for the state, it's not for you. This is a national team. The team sitting here.
All right, so there we go. This is what came from the Minister for Youth and Sports, Honorable Mustapha Usif. Now, he says that the team should account for all donations that have been made to them because they are a national team, they belong to the state, and so that's what has to be done. Let's now go to the former president, John Dramani Mahama, who received the team earlier. You know, one of the key reasons why, you know, there's concern being raised by the Minister for Youth and Sports. Let's take a listen to the former president.
So we all like the Black Stars, we like the Black Bombers, we like all our national teams. But if we invested a little in other, you know, parts of our sporting potential, we probably would gain even more than we currently are doing. Because the last time the Black Stars won the African Cup was in 1981. And The other teams have gone ahead to win. The women have won before trophies. You have also won, and other sports have won. So we must not only focus on just the senior national team. I agree that we should continue to fund the senior national team to attain trophies for us, but at the same time, we should also invest in teams like yours so that you can continue to make Ghana proud. Before you traveled, there was an effort to meet me to see how I could support in my own little way like I've been doing, but unfortunately, I had traveled. But it didn't deter you, you still went, and I hear under quite difficult circumstances, you managed to play your hearts out and you brought the trophy. And so we're very proud of you. And we want to welcome you back warmly and to thank you for what you've done. And even though you didn't see me before you went because I was away, I have a little gift for you. It's a little token, $10,000 to be shared amongst the players. To be shared amongst the players, because I know that you went to some expense, you know, when you traveled out there. And so it's just a little token. And I'll continue to take an interest in what you do. And as you know, this is the political season. And we're gearing up for the elections of December. And I just, as the presidential candidate for the NDC party, I wish to assure you that not if, when I win and become the president, I will not forget the amputee football team. $1,000. Let everybody clap.
All right, so we're going to be breaking this down a little more as we go along. And you did hear His Excellency, the former president, quite clearly. Now, he makes reference to previous times when he has supported them and also makes reference to the difficulties under which they have had to go and win this tournament. Now, we'll be getting into that a bit, but we all do remember the constant reportage that came through when this team was en route to go and participate in the AFCON. We do remember how some media houses had to, you know, put these distress calls out, these stories that had distress call lines out for people to come and support the team. So there is an even bigger problem we need to start looking at, away from the whole protocol breach, which is being highlighted by the Minister for Youth and Sports. So that is where I like to bring in Nana Jiman for this conversation. Nana, thank you very much for your time here. It's good to see you once again, and would have to congratulate the Black Challenge. They've done a wonderful job. We've been looking forward to silverware every other time that we go and participate in tournaments. And I mean, from all these difficulties that this team have had, now they are having to deal with issues of protocol breaches, and they're supposed to now go and account to the ministry for donations that they've received so far.
Yes, thank you very much, Nat. A good afternoon to your listeners. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a sad state of affairs because they've been hopping from pillar to post, trying to get someone to listen to them about what they would need to make that trip to go and represent Ghana. And it's been going on for some time now. This is not the first time, to say the least. It's happened on every occasion. We tend to shun this team. I don't know if it's because of the disability, so to speak, but we seem to shun this team all the time. And they've gone away. They've come back with the trophy. I don't think people thought it was possible. And I think to a certain extent, there has been an error there. I don't know the circumstances that led to them not being able to meet the Minister of Sport first and foremost, but I think he does have a point. They are a team that represents the state. and are supposedly sponsored by the state. And of course, the state did put money in for them to travel. There's no denying about that. And so really, they should have really come to the Minister of Sports to come and present him with the trophy before going anywhere else. I think this is the first time this has ever happened, to be perfectly honest with you. It's the first time, but the first cut is the deepest. And I could tell from what the minister was saying that this cut was very deep.
Now, yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's new in terms of political interference or partisan interference in sport. It's always been there. It's not going to go away now. It's nothing new.
All right. Now, this is remember, we're gearing towards December, and obviously anybody with a political interest would want to, maximize such a platform. But in the case of the former president, it's something that he was doing anyway. I mean, this is something he's been doing, and he did confirm it in that video. Now, what would you suggest from where you sit regarding how this matter is dealt with? Considering the fact, I mean, you've mentioned as well that this is nouvelle. We haven't really had such a circumstance. I was just saying this in my introduction that we have had a couple of instances where Ghanaian sportsmen and women have gone out there, won major laurels, and have come back, and we're looking for interviews. And these persons say, well, we have an invitation from the presidency, would like to go there first before we say anything. This is something that normally happens. Now, in this instance where you see this happening like for the first time, and especially considering that it's going alongside the winning of this major silverware, under all of these difficult circumstances, how would you advise this is handled generally?
Well, I think it's got to be handled with kid clubs because, yes, it's the first time. Is there a protocol set down for all these teams? Do they really know that this is what should take place once they arrive back in Ghana? Or is it just something we've taken for granted and most teams always come back to the ministry, but it's not something that's written in stone? I think the minister talked about accountability, about making accounts. I make light of that, sorry, because, that minister is, and most ministers are unable to make account of what they do in their ministry. So I think it's a bit strong for this team to be placed under any jurisdiction to say, oh, let's make an account of what has happened. One thing for sure is this team has not stolen any money. And the donation was for the players, and that was made quite clear. So it's very easy for them to show how the money was split. I think in future it's got to be a written protocol. If it's not already written, and it doesn't sound to me as if it's written, it must be written and stipulated quite clearly for all national teams, for all national sportsmen and women who are supported by the state, that once they come back and they come back as winners, rightfully so, they should make a visit, an official visit to the Ministry of Youth and Sports. I think that's the best way to deal with it. I don't think we can blow it up out of proportion. This is just the first time. And this is a team, quite frankly, that have been begging everyone to support while the ministry has, taken their time to get round to them. So I don't see that this should be blown out of proportion. But in terms of partisan politics being involved in our sport, it's been there, time immemorial. It's there. And the former president gets the opportunity to milk it, and he milks it. Those in government, they wanted the opportunity to milk it, and they didn't get that opportunity. So, they're feeling a bit sore. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Now, let's spend a bit more time on this thing of the funding element of our national teams, the funding that always comes up when, we have to take part in these international competitions. The problems that we encounter, where teams will go, they sometimes are stranded at the airport, you know, bonuses are not paid, because of which sometimes the players are very, you know, psychologically very low and are unable to perform at the highest level. We've had loads and loads of instances in our history where some athletes have even, you know, threatened to walk off the tracks and all of that. How then do we make this a thing of the past? Because this is, I mean, this is a national team. They went in there and they've proven everybody wrong. So clearly, the case they were making for themselves in going to seek support was very valid because they have a trophy to show for it.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, it's difficult really because government will say they don't have the money, but then they need to prioritize when it comes to all these different sporting disciplines. And I don't see that there's a priority. I see that, you know, there's a fixation, for example, with the Ghana Black Stars more than any other sporting discipline. And we tend to waste so much money on the Ghana Black Stars to the detriment of other sporting disciplines. I think we need to review the position. Government needs to review the position. And we need to spread the money across these sporting disciplines. We have to. We have to spread the money across these disciplines. The problem is that government believes that they get the biggest kudos out of the Ghana Black Stars if they were to win, because by and large, the majority of Ghanaians support football more than any other sport. And, you know, politicians tend to believe that if the Ghana Black Stars are successful, it gives them the opportunity to stay in their positions as a government even longer. I mean, I believe that's a fallacy, but it's something that both of these mainstay parties, you know, they subscribe to that. So they tend to prioritize football, and in particular the Ghana Black Stars, over and above everything else. I think that needs to change. I think that needs to change because, you know, whereas this team, you know, it wasn't felt that, oh, we would get big kudos from them. We wasn't even felt that they would win anything. Now the ministry and government are feeling a bit sore because, you know, they weren't able to milk it in a way in which they wanted to, especially in an election year. And instead of them getting the credit has gone somehow to, you know, former President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC. I mean, it's, you know, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. We need a comprehensive policy, probably something enshrined in a sports bill that ensures that the money that is available is spread as equally as possible across all sporting disciplines.
All right. So nobody wants to create any mischief. And Nana, you have been a panelist on this show and on this platform for years. Nobody wants to create any mischief, but you've raised an issue of politicians wanting to make hay while the sun shines. As in this, we're in the thick of the process, getting ourselves ready for December. So definitely, anybody would want to jump on a thing like this. And if your opponent beats you to it, it becomes a problem? Is it?
Well, it looks that way, doesn't it? I mean, he sounded quite angry, to be perfectly honest with you. When he was addressing them, he sounded quite angry. They're very sore about this. They're very sore about this. But the fact of the matter is they didn't place any premium on this team in the first place anyway. And certainly not expecting them to win anything. They didn't think for a moment that once this team had come off the plane, that they would go and see the former president. They didn't think that, they didn't see that coming. And so they're very, very sore.
Well, let's bring in the president of the African Paralympic Committee, who's also the president of the National Paralympic Committee of Ghana. He led the delegation to meet the Minister for Youth and Sports. Mr. Samson Dean also joins us for this conversation. Thank you very much, Mr. Samson Dean. Great to have you here on the show. We haven't had any major conversations since your successful execution of the very first edition of the African Paralympic Games. So I would say belated congratulations are in order. But there's an issue to deal with. The minister is unhappy about what happened. Is there some background you'd want to give us regarding this matter and why this happened and what we're going to be doing going forward?
Okay, thank you very much, Nat, for giving me this opportunity to speak to you and your audience. And let me use this opportunity to also say hi and hello to my senior brother, Nana Jiman, who has been a very good friend for quite a long time. I am most grateful to you too, Nat, for guiding me behind the scenes. You have played a lot of responsible roles, making sure that the para sports develops. Your contribution is well noticed, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity this afternoon. Yes, Nat, we met with the minister and to pay a courtesy call on him to present a trophy that was won by the gallant Black Challenge of Ghana, who won 6 straight matches to reach the final. Upon arrival, the Paralympic Committee wrote to the Minister for Youth and Sports on the 31st of May, requesting to pay a courtesy call and also present to him the trophy and medals, awards won by these men of Ghana origin. In fact, I think this is my opinion, though. I think that we had a very good and smooth discussion meeting today with the minister. He was happy to meet the team. He made his message clear to us that he believes and thinks that and thought that we could have been able to manage the team appropriately by making sure that they presented the trophy and awards to him before moving around, before the trophy being taken to other meaningful Ghanaians. And for me, I felt that, well, that was a good call because we are talking about the national team. But I think Benaya can attest to the fact that he has been part of the media team that projects the good works of the MPC, the good works of the amputee team, because Joy Sports decided to give a very good attention to the Black Challenge. And for that, he was there. We had to move to the former president's office because the players had already been informed way before, 2 weeks ago, that the former president wanted to do a donation to them. And I had denied them that opportunity to go there first. But on this day, there was no way that as a leader of the team, I could say no to...
There it is, a bit of a challenge with connection there. We're going to re-establish contact with him. And also joining us here for the rest of the conversations are Victor Attoh. He's also been doing some monitoring of the situation. Yesterday on Prime Take, you know, there was a bit of a conversation as well about this. There were major conversations on this. Now, Victor, you've heard the president of the APC. He is just breaking down, you know, the issues and how things went ahead. Okay, let's do a final one, so that we can get the full account from Mr. Samson Dean, and then I'll come in for your comments before we go back to Nana Jiman. Okay, President, would respectfully ask that you are stable a bit so that we can have the full, Yeah, so you're saying that you couldn't have refused or said no or said, please hold on respectfully to the former president. Is that it?
That is it. It was highly impossible at that time because the players were all at the office. They knew about this invitation 2 weeks ago. On 2 occasions, they were supposed to go. They were denied. But this day, they were all present. The media were there to move to the ministry, and we had a cancellation of the visit. And at this time, it was very difficult for anybody to say no, they were not supposed to go to the former president. But let me make this correction. During the minister's speech, he never mentioned the former president's name. He never said they shouldn't have gone there. But in his opinion, he made a statement that before the trophies were presented to other meaningful Ghanaians, it should have been to his office or to the seat of government, of which I do agree with him. But I do not think the trophy were presented to any other group of persons, with the exception of that of the former president. And I want to use your platform to apologize to him if they felt that it was a wrong thing doing, of which me myself I also agree that we should have been to their office. But noticeably, I think we had written to his office quite a longer time, from 31st of May, since the team arrived. And your team can also attest to the fact that I used the opportunity to even thank him for his support to the team, and not only the Black Challenge, to the entire Paralympic disability family.
Some very interesting.
For me, I feel that he has been supporting us one way or the other. Yes, one way or he has been supporting us. He has been supporting to myself and the team. But this decision to send the team to the former president, we thought that it was also a very credible platform to also project the good works of the amputee football team, and for other sponsors to take notice of the team and also come on board and give them support, because that was what the players were saying, that they believe that Angola gave their players mansions, they give them 3-bedroom apartments, give them Prado and all that. So they felt that they have done much better than what Angola have done in amputee football in the region. So the players, when you speak to them, you can sometimes feel for them, because they feel that there should be a precedent where they will be recognized properly. And sometimes we, the leaders, are the people who are lambasted, who receive the bashing. They believe that because of our association and friendship with authority, they feel that we are not doing much more for them to be recognized, to get the needed support. So let me use your platform to tell corporate Ghana that the players really need that recognition. They need that support to encourage most of the persons with disability on the streets to be able to participate in sport. I will also use your platform to ask your colleague journalist to please pardon the minister. I don't think he meant to say that they shouldn't have gone to the former president, but it was just an erroneous impression that he wanted to tell most of the federations, that is the national teams, not to always take such a precedent. They should just make sure that they come to the seat of government before they can go to any other institution.
President,
or person.
Can you clarify this for me?
Yes, sir.
Aside the former president's office, have you visited any other place, and have you received any other thank you or congratulatory donations from anywhere, or received any gifts from anywhere?
Yes, when the team arrived, there is this pastor in the Ashanti region, something Chedua.
Adum Chedua.
Invited the team. Adum Chedua, yes. He personally placed a call to the captain of the team and then made a donation of 200,000 Ghana cedis to the team. So he has been very generous. And even when they were about leaving Ghana, he presented them with another 100,000 Ghana cedis earlier. So that is the only platform that they have visited and received an amount of 300,000 Ghana cedis.
Okay, so in all,
apart from that,
yes,
we did not receive any.
Okay, so then it means
yes,
that what you're supposed to account for, as the minister has requested, is $10,000 US plus 200,000 Ghana cedis. Is that correct?
Exactly. So the 200,000 Ghana cedis were given to them, I think, 3 days before President Mahama met them. So 200,000 cedis plus the 10,000 US. That's all these monies have been given to the players because it was a donation to the players. If you listen to President Mahama, he indicated that he donated that amount of money to the players and not to any management team. So the money was handed over to the players, and Benaya can confirm that he was there. He saw the players being given the money and the sharing ratio that the players used to share that amount of money. The same happened to Adum Chedia's 200,000, which was given to the team, and they shared the money among themselves. So the donations were to the players. So as we were asked to prepare the account, I have directed the management team to quickly indicate what each player received per the donations being given to them.
Okay. So you are making efforts to ensure that you are adhere to the Youth and Sports Minister's directive of accounting for what you've received.
Exactly. I have even gone further to ask them to provide a full account of the pre-campaign donations that they received from other sponsors. For instance, Trillium Ghana gave them 65,000 Ghana cedis. EcoBank also, GCB EcoBank also gave them 50,000 Ghana cedis, which was part of the support they used to prepare to go to Egypt. So all those I've received that of the first payment they received from Trillium, GCB, and then that of the Adum Chedia 100,000 before they went to Egypt. I've received that account. They've sent it to me via WhatsApp by the head of the team, which is Mr. Foster Kwati. I've received it on my WhatsApp, and I've directed that I want the sharing ratio used for the 200,000 and the $10,000. So that one too, I'm going to make sure that by the close of today, I get them and I'll forward it to the ministry.
Very well. Finally, has government made good all of its obligations or its promises to the team regarding bonuses and any other, monetary commitments that were made maybe prior to the tournament or after?
Thank you very much. I think that the reason for the players being so aggressive this time is because of the promises that I have led in many occasions to promise them and make sure that I lead by letting them know that the government and the ministry have made promises and assured them of their bonuses, per diems, and any other rewards to be given to them. And for that matter, upon arrival, they thought that it should have been on a speed for them to receive all the bonuses from the first African Para Games, of which they are yet to receive their bonuses. And the winning of this trophy, they are yet to receive their per diem and their bonuses. They have not received anything, but I can use your platform to confirm that the government paid their return flight tickets, paid for the participation fees to be able to participate in the tournament. But as we speak, they have not received their per diem and bonuses. So that was their expectation, that to the ministry, they were going to be at least be paid their per diem and the bonuses. But the minister assured them that as soon as the necessary accounts are provided, is going to announce the package from the side of the government.
All right. Mr. Samsindeen, thank you so much. And we'll be monitoring as we go along. And we surely would put it out once the ministry makes that announcement, which we're all looking forward to, because the Black Challenge, aside this protocol faux pas, have done a wonderful job. And congratulations to you as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, sir. All the best to the Najiman and all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we are going to ensure that we bring you here into the studio sometime so that we look at the roadmap for ensuring dominance by Ghana, you know, on the stage of the AFCON, for the amputee AFCON. Thank you. Thank you once again. All right. So that was the president of the African Paralympic Committee. Remember, he goes down in history as the very first Ghanaian to occupy this position. He used his influence and used a lot of relationship and a lot of, you know, working around, you know, relationships and all of that to ensure that Ghana won the bid to host the very first edition of the African Paralympic Games. Now it has become custom on the international sports calendar. And that is one of the key milestones. And of course, this recent win by the Black Challenge, which seems to be seeing another side because of this unfortunate happening. So Victor Achutamaklo has also joined me, and Anajiman, who is a seasoned analyst and coach, is also here with us. One of our team members from Kumasi will also be joining us with some analysis on this particular matter and other issues we're going to bring to you here on the Joy Sports Link. Do remember, it's 055-11-11997. 055-11-11997 is for our WhatsApp platform. Victor, you've listened to everything. I'm sure that you know, you monitored as well during the week when all of this broke out. Yesterday, this came up earlier in the day, and the Youth and Sports Minister had to say what he had to say. Of course, in terms of principle, he was right, because normally, I'm sure that you have also encountered such, where you're trying to interview some of these sportsmen and women who've won laurels, and they tell you they're not available until they go to the presidency. Unfortunately, in this situation, because of you know, scheduling issues, this had to come up. What should be the lessons learned from here so that we do not see these kinds of things happen? But there's an even bigger issue of what the team had to go through before going to win this trophy, and how we're going to place them, even though they've made a good case for themselves.
Interesting that what should not be an issue has become the topic for discussion when the team finally met the sports minister. I think that if you listen to what the sports minister said, in principle, he's right. The national team is an asset of the states. When they go out on any assignment and they return, the first point of call is that they report to the sports ministry. So they go and see the sports minister. If the president wants to see them, fine. But you go and see the sports ministry, and then you render an account of the events as they occurred, wherever you went to, whatever the purpose was. And so you do that. So it is consistent with practice. It is consistent with the management culture of our national teams and even state assets, that when we send someone out there and they come, they report to the mother agency or institution. So they should have gone to the sports ministry first. But we are also aware that beyond Samsindeen's words, there was indeed a letter dated the 31st of May where they made that request to go and see the sports ministry and present an account of everything that happened at the championships to them. We are also told that, unfortunately, till date, they did not get a response, at least not until this week, when we saw what happened when the team went to visit the former president, John Dramani Mahama. So it is reasonable for anyone to read between the lines and conclude that this reaction from the minister is only because the team went to see the former president. It has political connotations, and it is unfortunate.
And before you go on, Attoh, we also need to state this very clearly. Now, there's a reason why we put we brought you both videos and tapes of, depending on how you're consuming this. Now, it is very important to note this here, that nobody has suggested that the Youth and Sports Minister mentioned the former president. We put the issues just as they were, that the minister was unhappy about something. And so that's the reason why I also asked the president of the APC where else they had been before going to see, former President Mahama. Yeah. So we need to put the issues in context, and we need to be very clear on this. Nobody here has ever suggested that the minister mentioned the former president. However, based on the happenings and the events, we're able to just see that it's coming from here and here. And the president of the APC has also confirmed that they went to one place before going to the former president, and then eventually the ministry.
Yeah, so for me, I would not fault those who draw conclusions or make deductions given the evidence and the chronology of events that have led us here, in saying that perhaps he was not excited about the fact that the team had gone to meet the former president. And it's the political season, right? Political actors are looking to make political capital out of any event or any association. So if you read in between the lines, you can understand if indeed that was what he was speaking to, where the minister's frustration would come from. But for me, it's a real shame that the focus has moved away from the most important things.
Which is the trophy that the team has won.
Beyond even the trophy that the team has won, it is the circumstances
under which they
won it. Richard Attoh, who was the team captain, spoke to Joy Sports while the team was in North Africa for the competition. And he complained about the conditions that they had to go through. He complained about the lack of support. And here's the thing. It was not as if the team was abandoned out there. The leader of the delegation was the Director of Finance and Administration from the Sports Ministry, Eric Mensah-Bonsu. So there was a government representation there, except Mr. Mensah-Bonsu was not equipped to take care of the needs of the team, which is to say that the Sports Ministry and the Finance Ministry did not provide him with the resources to pay for or to cover the expenses that would have given this team the comforts that they wanted, and also to pay the per diems and the bonuses that this team were asking for. Otherwise, the national team captain in the middle of a competition would not be on the phone to a media house 500,000 or 1 million miles away explaining the unfortunate circumstances that they have to live through.
In the thick of a tournament.
In the thick of a tournament. And that, for me, is the most important thing, that now that they've managed to set all of those issues aside, because if this team had failed to win the trophy, the narrative back home would have been that the players were distracted, but they weren't. They managed to separate the issues. They spoke about the fact that things weren't great for them and that they felt that they had been abandoned. And Richard Attoh, the specific wording of that interview, mentioned something to the effect that if it had been the Black Stars or any of the other team the Sports Ministry pays particular attention to, they would not be left in the lurch in the manner that the Black Challenge have been, right? His words were corroborated by Richard Obeng, the head coach of the team. And so what is important is that we look at that problem, right? And I don't think that the ministry, out of wickedness, just decided not to provide money for them. I always say this, that when it comes to national teams, there's an age-long problem of funding. There's an age-long problem of sports funding in the country. Ghana is going through austerity. So I can understand the inertia towards releasing money for any sports events whatsoever, right? That is not the African Games. This year, apart from the African Games, that is a national project, every other event is likely to suffer the close-fistedness of the states, right, when it comes to releasing the pairs. So for me, the problem really has to be looking at a more sustainable way of funding sports in the country. In the last 3 years, government has cut its budgets for sports. It keeps reducing. And this year that we're in austerity, the figures that we had in Parliament were even more drastic. The cuts were even more drastic and far more than the previous years. So that is the issue to look at. Where do you get money to fund some of these national teams? Right? Because I'm sure Eric Mensah-Bonsu himself, when he was with the team out there, if he had his way, he would have taken money from his pocket to pay the players. But that is not something you want to encourage.
Mr. Samson Dean made a very important point. And sometimes you want to put yourself in the shoes of these administrators as well, that, you know, then trust also diminishes between the players and yourself. They say, look, you guys are the ones who have the power. You are not, you've been given money and you are sitting on the money. And this is one of the things that...
And you see, it's also because when they are sent out there, I don't know whether it is the finance ministry or the sports ministry. I don't know whether anyone gives them assurances at all that, oh, tell them that we're going to pay the money and that we will pay. But they make these promises. The last time when it was the Black Meteors, it was the deputy sports minister himself who made those promises, right? So somehow you have the leaders of these delegations making these promises on behalf of the state that, oh, don't worry, we'll pay these monies around this time. And you see, word gets around. Whatever happens in football, the boxers pay attention. Whatever happens in athletics, the cyclists, the footballers, everyone pays attention. Over time, the states and its assigns have not acted in a manner that gives people confidence in their word, especially when it comes to national assignments. More often than not, they are likely to go back on their promise. They renege on their promise. They are unable to honor the word that they... And so it is difficult for the... I'm sure that if they had any faith in the words of Eric Mensah Bonsu, we wouldn't have had the interviews we had, because the assurance that the state is going to come through for you should be enough. But they went beyond that to basically appeal for funds in the middle of the tournament because they genuinely believe that the monies were not going to come. Right? And so for me, the central issue has to be a matter of funding. As for who they went to see first or not, you can't really blame the team. They made the efforts and they made the offer to come and see and present to the sports ministry. It is just unfortunate that whatever it has happened did not allow that meeting to take place before. The other thing also is that if you look at the weight of the personality that the team went to present their trophies to, it's difficult to look at that office and say they are not going to turn up. It's impossible. They could not have, because power is transient. Tomorrow it might be a government from the party of the former president that's in power. If they show any conduct that is interpreted to be disrespectful, it could come back to hurt them in the future, right? So I just think that let's calm our heads, win over this matter. I think that the minister has said his piece. I don't think he's going to escalate this. I know him personally. I don't think he's going to escalate this to any petty level. But if anything has to happen hereafter, it has to be a conversation about funding sports in general. And for the sports minister, it will be very good for his legacy if he could, at the very least, initiate something like that, right? Make some significant progress with the bill in Parliament and actually find practical, sustainable revenue sources that will fund sports in this country. Otherwise, look, every time there is a national assignment out there, we'll come back to the issue of money. We'll come back to athletes having to canvass for support. We'll come back to the conditions under which they play or they compete in, which is hardly ever satisfactory. And for me, once you resolve the money issue, it kills every other mischief. It kills every other issue that we've had to do with. Because now, think of every major scandal that has characterized Ghana's participation in any elite sports events, whatever the discipline is. The central theme in each of those stories is money. From Gold Coast to the Black Stars in Brazil, to the Black Meteors in Morocco, to this amputee team, the Commonwealth Games, Deborah Aqua's story. Each of the scandals that we know, the running theme in all of this is money and the lack of it.
Money and the lack of it. And having said that, it is important to encourage those who are looking forward to supporting this team. That becomes a very important part of this equation. Well, so to the Youth and Sports Minister, what has been said has been taken in, and another apology has been rendered by the president of the APC. It is our hope that, the brighter part of everything that has happened here would be seen, and based on that, will give inspiration in the bigger scheme of all the difficulties we have with our economy and all of that, that this team will be shown appreciation, for this very big feat that they have achieved under the circumstances. Let's also give the credit as well, where we have to give the credit. We say a big thank you to His Excellency, the former president, and the charismatic leader, the leader called Osofo Adum Chedria, who I'm told is also one that previously has supported the team. So this is very much in place. It's very welcome. And these are the kinds of examples we want to see from persons to push support towards these teams who belong to a special bracket within our society, making their conversation a very special one as well. Now, we will get into the Ghana Premier League very shortly, but before we do that, I'd like to go to Nanajiman so that briefly he can tell me if he had a power to take a decision now, today, regarding how we should say a decent thank you to this team. What kind of package would he want to see, or what kind of package would he want to see? I'll pose the same question to you, Victor. And remember, we're saying all of these within the bigger context of how things have gone with our economy and all. So let's begin with you, Nanajiman. What would you suggest? Let's do some specifics here. You've seen, I know it's a bit of a tough one, but let's look at how practical we can get regarding saying a decent thank you to the Black Challenge for winning the biggest trophy in amputee football on the continent.
Well, thank you very much for that, Nat. You've really put me in a hole there, haven't you? Thank you very much. Well, I mean, you know, I remember there was an occasion when the Ghana Black Stars came second. And they all received cars, and management received Cherokee Jeeps and lots of money and all that. And they hadn't won anything. They hadn't won anything. Now, these amputee players, we all know they are minus one leg. I'd like to say give them cars, but I don't know how practical that would be for them, considering the challenge that they face. But I think apart from a pot of gold, because they must get good money, they must get good money, between $50,000 each, you know, it could even be more. And they must get something else. I don't know. It might be an apartment, you know. I don't know. I've never thought of this before, Nat, until you've really put it to me right now, and I'm lost for words. I think it's got to be seriously significant, because if we can give Ghana Black Stars and their management teams Cherokee Jeeps and all this kind, everybody got a Cherokee Jeep. They didn't win a thing. They came second. Now, this is a team that has won. Why can't we do a similar thing for them? Why can't we do that? This is the AFCON. This is the AFCON. And the Ghana Black Stars came second in the AFCON, but they all got Cherokee Jeeps. So I think it's got to be something really significant, Nat, really significant. It's got to be a bundle of cash from $50,000 going and something else. It might be an apartment. I don't know if the guys would want a car. You know, I don't know if I would be able to drive a car, perhaps if my left leg was missing. I don't know. But I think it's got to be something very, very significant, to be perfectly honest with you. Not just for the players, but also for the management of that team as well.
Well,
that's the best I can give you.
Okay. Nanajiman says he believes it has to be substantial. $50,000 or something above that. You know, and something that is significant. What do you also think, Victor?
Well, whatever it is, it has to reflect the size of the accomplishment. Because there has to be a reward for winning. We're a country that doesn't always win, at least not the major competitions in our time. So at this stage, paying them their per diems and winning bonuses will not be enough. You have to give them something meaningful, something significant, for them to look back and say that this is the reward for their effort. And knowing the economic conditions of a lot of these players, a house will not be far-fetched. Okay. Like something decent, a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom for each of these, and some good money to go with it, will not be far-fetched. If we are going to be sincere to ourselves and not overprice or bloat budgets in the name of enriching ourselves while we're saying thank you to these players. It should not cost an arm and a leg to give them some decent accommodation for each of them, because we know the unique situation they find themselves in. What are the jobs available to these athletes or to these players? What are, in the clubs that they came from to play, what are the living conditions there? They don't have contracts. The national team is essentially the one area where they make their money. And I think that when it comes to national team success and teams that actually deliver the trophies, it is the one moment where I think as a country, we can all look at what they have done and say that consider what they've done and the moments, and any thank you package as a social intervention scheme or poverty alleviation, because if we don't do this for them, their condition and the Ghanaian culture, employment culture, and even the level of skill that they may have in the society and the capacity or the probability of they getting jobs with those skills and to earn a decent living is next to nil. This is the one area where they can actually do well and be rewarded for what they've done. And I think that it has to be something significant in that regard.
All right, so some quick messages before we get the Ghana Premier League conversation going. So let's quickly take a look at this one. This one from Samuel Aite says, well, congratulations to the Black Challenge. It is just unfortunate that this had to come up with the ministry. However, considering the conversations you are having, we do know that this is a first, so would like the minister to overlook it and ensure that they are given a good thank you. Thank you very, very much. Gabriel Odame has sent this one. Congratulations to the Black Challenge. This win should be priority over any other issue. We do know that December is approaching, and even though this is a fact or this is a true mistake, we shouldn't dwell on this to cloud the beauty of the achievement made by the team. Okay, thank you very much. Henry Elom. Henry Elom has sent this one and says, yes, it is unfortunate that on a day like this, when a massive sacrifice has been made by a team that was under-resourced, we have to focus on another side. This is such a shame. Let us ensure that the team is given what they are due. All right, thank you very much, Henry Elom, for that message there. Now, Ernest Smith has also sent another one. He says, let's all go on this crusade, and I want to task you at Joy Sports to bring your other colleagues on board. Remember, they are within a marginalized segment of society, and depending on how we treat this matter, the message can go otherwise. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll be doing some more of your messages. Keep them coming. Remember, it's 055-11-11997. 055-11-11997. Of course, one of the major issues that we've had to deal with in the lead up to the weekend is that of Dreams FC versus RTU. Well, ahead of that game, one of the key things that everyone was looking out for was how well Dreams FC were going to perform. Of course, it was an 8-1 scoreline. 8-1 is not a regular scoreline that you see. But of course, considering the circumstances Dreams FC find themselves in, striving hard to get an 8-1 scoreline is not a behavior that should not be too far from them. However, there was another element of surprise, which is the fact that a player of RTU scored a goal, and it turned out that he was in his bedroom far away in Tamale, nowhere close to Dawu where this game was played. So there was an issue of impersonation. Not one, not two, but the whole team that were supposed to be real Tamale United. Well, go into the rule book or the book of laws of the Ghana Football Association, and RTU do find themselves in trouble. Well, the Ghana Football Association has already laid out its immediate response regarding this matter and how we are going to proceed from here. Investigations will be conducted. The officials of the club will be invited, and there will be some sessions held. And all the quasi-judicial bodies of the Ghana Football Association will activate, their roles and their functions, based on which there will be a conclusion. But there is a bigger conversation to have. Remember that yesterday in the afternoon on Joy 99.7 FM, right here on this platform, we started the conversation and gave it some perspective. Now, we'd also want to start looking at the effect that this has on the bigger picture of the Ghana Premier League, and also the integrity mark or the integrity test that all of our clubs and all of our officials, for that matter, are supposed to pass. Now, let me just get some thoughts, because Victor has to go in to do another recording. Let me begin with you, Victor. You did some analysis on how we got here, and how all of this degenerated into this particular problem. Now, there's an even bigger problem of an effect, a bigger effect, bigger ripple effect on the whole brand of the Ghana Premier League. We've been looking for sponsorship for some time now. We've been looking for headline sponsorship. And any other time that these issues come up, it's difficult for the officials of the marketing department of the FA to even go into meetings with potential sponsors.
That's true. I'm just going to start by saying that the blames on the Dreams FC are a bit misinformed and unfair. Because
but before we go on, we need to make it clear. We're not saying that Dreams FC have done anything wrong.
No, in fact, they didn't do anything wrong.
Okay, good. Even they went in looking for their 3 points and as many goals as possible, and they got it.
Even for the form book, RTU have won 3 of the last 24 league matches before Wednesdays. They had lost, I think, about 18 or is it 19 in that time. That's a team that loses for fun, habitual losers. And the game itself, the objective for Dreams FC was to win. If you look at the relegation situation, all Dreams needed to do was to win. They didn't need to win by a cricket scoreline. They didn't need to win by 2-0 or 3-0. I think we saw 8-1 because of the difference in quality of the two teams. If you decide to go and bring Galaxy FC, which was a third division team in Tamale or second division, to come and face FA Cup champions, Confederation Cup semi-finalists, the difference in terms of experience and exposure and even the natural ability, that's the talent, will tell. And that is what we saw on Wednesday. In terms of the damage this inflicts on the league, that is where I feel RTU have done a great disservice to the products that is the Ghana Premier League, because they know they have been broke for some time now. On the 6th of March, while the rest of the country was celebrating independence, players of RTU embarked on a strike. They refused to train ahead of a league match with Hearts of Lions. They lost that match by 2-0. A month later, their coach, Abdul Mumin, was fired. Mumin was fired because the club said they suspected him of sabotaging the club and of match manipulation, because in a league match versus Nswatraman FC, he made some substitutions that occasioned the 2 goals that the team conceded. So the belief was that those were deliberate and that he was trying to sabotage the team. But before his sacking, Abdul Mumin had gone nearly a year without salary. So as far back as last season, Mumin was not being paid. So this is a club that has been cash-strapped for a long time. And in my estimation, I think the right thing for them to have done, once the players said they were not going to play the match, was that inform the Ghana Football Association that you are no longer able to raise a team and forfeit the match, right? When you do that, you lose the 3 points. That was a game they were going to lose anyway. But you avoid incurring any costs, because now they've traveled here to Accra, they've bought fuel, they've had the players that they brought here, they had to feed them, they had to provide for them for the period that they were on the bus down here. And unfortunately, we're now told that on Thursday evening, the team got involved in an accident. Now you have to spend money on medical care for those players as well. And it's all because of their indiscretion. I feel it was wrong of them for them to have even honored the match in the first place. But I think the Ghana Football Association has the greater duty of care on its products. I think that from Tuesday evening, when the players started granting interviews to the media, when the media reports went rife that this is what the players had said, and that they had said they were not going to play. And in fact, the media reports carried the specific club from which RTU were going to get the players to impersonate their players under contracts. At that point, I think that, and when the RTU official response came, because by morning of Wednesday, RTU had given an interview to Peace FM where they had denied all of those things. I thought the GFA should have investigated the matter and possibly forced RTU not to play the match. Because there is a clear case of their players going on public record to say they will not honor the match. They are in Tamale. They did not travel to Accra, even as of Wednesday morning. But the club was insisting that the players are with them.
So Victor, RTU, by known and regular administrative procedure, could have avoided all of this by just writing a letter to indicate their challenge to the Ghana FA.
Exactly. But also, I think, look, I don't think RTU should have even been participating in the Ghana Premier League. I don't think so. Because even under the relaxed execution of the club licensing protocols, they still fell woefully short of its requirements. Because, as I've explained to you for a long time now, they've not been able to pay players. I mean, their coach, as at the time he was sacked, which was in April, just 2 months ago, had gone nearly a year without salary. This is a club that has been surviving on the benevolence of fans, of people of Tamale, of Northerners who are affluent enough and want to support the club, right? If you go back to 2021, the one they secured Premier League promotion, between 2019 and 2021, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had to donate 300,000 Ghana cedis to the team over 3 separate tranches. Around the same time, former President John Mahama had donated, I think, about 250,000 Ghana cedis over 2 separate tranches. His brother, Ibrahim Mahama, and so many other prominent personalities from the North. And that is how the club was surviving, on the benevolence of people who cared enough to give them money. In 2022, it had to take a media fundraiser spearheaded by Asempa FM and I think Happy FM at that time for RTU, and that was their first year in the Ghana Premier League, to raise enough money to complete the league season. At the end of the season, the club's PRO said in August that they needed 3.8 million Ghana cedis. That story is on my jaw online, for them to be able to complete the next football season. So this is a club with a storied past of flirting with insolvency. How then were they able to pass the club licensing board's financial requirements then to be licensed, right? So I feel that even under the very relaxed regime of the club licensing that we are currently practicing, RTU fell woefully short. And their continuous admission or participation in the Ghana Premier League was an indictment or was a dent on the integrity of the league, because here was a team that, and we're now seeing, is not able to raise a team for league matches. And the audacity to decide that we're going to now find and impersonate a whole squad. One can only imagine how long they've done this before. If they've done this before, for them to even get to the point where they are now confident enough to say that we are going to do it for an entire team. Because it was not one player who was impersonated. It wasn't 2, it wasn't 3. Right? So at a certain point, the club needed to be saved from itself. And that's why I have always been an advocate that even if we're going to have a 12-team league, a 14-team league of teams who are close to decency, financially, it will be difficult to find any club that is self-sustaining in Ghana, but clubs who can at least bear the cost of running for a full season, I'll be happy for it. Because the idea of, and you see, it's not just about paying good salaries or paying good monies. Not having money affects how you prepare for games. So you will know this. There is a culture of Ghanaian teams traveling and arriving on the venues on match day. And they do that because they are broke. They cannot afford the cost of accommodation or sleeping in hotels. So they won't put any of the players in the hotel. So that would mean even if it's Tamale to Accra, leave on Tuesday night, get to Accra by mid-morning of Wednesday, play the match. By 7 p.m. or 6 p.m., they are on the bus back to Tamale. And we have seen the effects of this. Teams have suffered armed robbery attacks because they traveled on the night of playing that match. The latest incident happened just last season. That was Legon Cities.
Yes.
While All Stars had an accident because they were traveling in the night. Kumasi Asante Kotoko, lives have been lost because clubs have not had money to be able to put players in decent hotels and travel when there's better visibility. Whatever the compensation that the deceased Kotoko officials, whatever compensation that went to their families, it cannot compensate for the loss of life. Whatever injuries the players of RTU or the borrowed players, because they are players of Galaxy FE, they don't belong to RTU. Those who got the injuries sustained the injuries on Thursday, whatever injuries they have sustained, no amount of money is going to compensate for that. And so we're getting to the point where our inertia towards a full or strict enforcement of the requirements of the club licensing regulations they have cost us lives already. They have dented the reputation, damaged the reputation of the products. Only 3 years ago, the Ash Gold Interlife saga happened, and it breaks my heart that even before we can wriggle ourselves out of its shackles, now there is this matter for the FA to deal with.
Still here on the special edition of the Joy Sports Link here on Joy 99.7 FM. Do send in your messages. We sure are going through some very, very tough times indeed. Just when alignment was settling in with the European calendar, we just have to always deal with an issue or the other at the end of every season. We look out there and look at the places that have created the templates for us to follow, and irrespective of the challenges they have, the season just moves without any of these scandals. Victor, thank you so much. There are other things that we need to do, especially as we're in the thick of the coverage of the Euros. But just before you go, we'll be going into the Euros, but you were there, you did some brilliant commentary and analysis with the rest of the team yesterday for the opening game. That's gone past us now, but getting into this weekend, do you have any favorite picks just before you go?
I just think Italy are going to win the competition.
Okay.
I think Spain are going to disappoint a lot of people.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll have Nana Jiman continue the rest of it for us. Thank you very much, Victor. So, Nana, Victor has been raising a few key issues here. The issues about ensuring that if we have to even go back to Congress and say, we want to cut down the numbers of teams that participate so that, we have a smaller number of teams who can play decent and administer and run their affairs decently without all of these unfortunate challenges so that we can move forward, rather than have a whole host of 18 teams some of who are struggling, are just unable to run the day-to-day affairs and do something as embarrassing as what was done, during the week in that game against Dreams FC.
Well, now, I tell you what, Victor has provided the show with a fantastic analysis. I really loved every word this man has just said. And he is right. He is absolutely right. Look, the fact of the matter is all those Premiership clubs are insolvent. All of them are insolvent. There's no two ways about that. They're all struggling to make it on match days. They're all struggling. That's the facts. That's the fact of the matter. And I think, yes, it would be better to have a smaller league where they can manage to pay players, to pay managerial staff, coaching staff, and where they're able to travel when they've got good visibility, put their players up in hotels instead of trying to make it back on the same night, costing lives, getting injured, having accidents, being robbed. It would be much, much better, much, much better. I really do support him on that. And I think the other thing too, where the FA themselves bring the game into disrepute is the club licensing. That is serious. Victor described it as relaxed. It doesn't exist. It's not relaxed. It does not exist because, none of the clubs meet the criteria, and they've not met the criteria for a decade or more. That is the truth of the matter. None of them do. Every time
It's every time it's brought into play, it's a matter of, oh, we'll give them the license subject to X, Y, and Z. And you know, it's never ever met. We just go through the league like that. And so for me, I think a big part of the responsibility lies with the club licensing. It lies with the GFA, because you turn a blind eye to so many things in order to let the league happen, in order to say that we have a Premier League. But really we don't. It's Division 1. It's Division 1 that we have. It's not a Premier League. Every club is suffering from the same thing, a serious inertia. They have no money. They have no will. Nothing is going on correctly. The league is not managed appropriately from day one. And this is where it's taken us to. It's unbelievable that, you know, RTU would go to this length, but it does beg the question, have they done it before with 1 or 2 or 3 players? Because seriously, there is an audacity that one could believe that they could replace 90% of their teeth and not be found out. It's a serious audacity. But it also speaks to the lack of integrity of our game. It speaks to the lack of integrity of the Premier League and of the rest of the leagues as well, because God knows what happens down there in Division 1, Division 2 for clubs that are seeking, you know, to be promoted. Only God knows what happens. Things have cooled down a bit. The beatings in Division 1s and all those things has come down a bit, but there's so much going on. It's totally unbelievable. But I think the buck stops with the GFA. RTU, well, they're out of the Premier League, and they should be out of association football for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. You know, just like, you know, Ashanti Gold. They should be booted out because the league has no integrity. The league has no integrity. And it's not the first year, is it? There's always been an issue, season after season, that questions the league's integrity.
This sure is a very interesting curve that we've all hit. Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to stop.
Well, a very, very interesting curve that we've hit, you know, within our football. And that also goes to the issue of investments, which I want to come to next. Nana, there are investors in our clubs, but unfortunately, over the years, what we have seen is people who come in and make donations based on pity, if I may use a better word, or based on eventuality and emergency, rather than having a strategic investor who comes in with a mission and a vision, who is able to pump in money, substantial amounts of money, to develop various aspects of the running of a specific club and getting them there. And we're not seeing that. And you look at an RTU who have had some very great people from the north who economically are very sound and maybe may have the muscle, but we just may not have had it right.
Well, I think, you know, the people who run these clubs are not the right people to run the clubs in the first place, because a club is not a one-man show, and by and large, these clubs are all one-man shows. A club shouldn't be a one-man show. It's got to be a collective. It's got to be a collective of people there to run and administer the club. But what have we seen for decades? It's just a one-man show. And one man leaves and another man comes and he wants to do it a certain way. But what they forget is there is a model out there. There's a model out there. There's a model that shows you how to run these clubs, but we don't subscribe to it. We say, well, we're Ghanaians, we do things differently. But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. And I think also, I mentioned the sports bill earlier on. I think, look, there are lots of companies in Ghana that are making bags of money. Lots of them. And, you know, I think we've got to provide incentives for them so that they can come in and provide some of the finance we need to cut across all our sporting disciplines. Not only football. Football might be our biggest, but not only football. we need to provide tax incentives for them. And I think we've spoken about this before, that, you know, if companies were given tax incentives, if they would come on board and provide sponsorship or whatever for certain clubs or, you know, our clubs in general, it's something that could be worked upon. Something that, you know, it's certainly something that we should look at. But there's nothing there. There's no incentive for these companies who come in, they make millions of US dollars, and they repatriate those funds back to where they come from. And nothing is put back into our communities or into the communities where these companies are seemingly making so much money. Nothing is done. And we ourselves, we brought no policies or introduced no regime that sees a certain percentage of revenue generated in our country pumped into our sports. So, you know, we're between a rock and a hard place. I think, you know, there was a time when we were even talking about establishing a Premier League board. That's dead now. That's 100% dead. It's not going to happen. I don't see it happening. Where are they going to get the money for that? I don't see it happening. Look, the Premier League had a sponsor, and halfway through the league, the sponsor is gone. The sponsor does not believe that he's getting value for money. The sponsor believes that he's actually wasting his money, and so he should withdraw from the league. And it's all about the integrity of the league. That's why the sponsor has withdrawn, because some of the matches, you know, we know the score already. We know what's going to happen. Everybody knows. We all talk about that. So, you know, the sponsor doesn't want to be associated with that, because the sponsor wants his brand to be number one, to be up there, to be well patronized by Ghanaians. He doesn't want his brand tarnished by the happenings of what's happening in Premier League matches or in any other league match. So they withdraw themselves. And so, you know, you're left for the remainder of the season without a headline sponsor. All these things have to be addressed, but they're not addressed. They're never addressed. We never talk about them. All we do is look for another headline sponsor, and the same thing happens season after season.
Well, all we do is look for a headline sponsor, and the same thing happens season after season. Those are the thoughts of Nana Agyeman, who's here with me on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM and on our YouTube channels as well. Let us know what your thoughts are as well as we get into the finish line and the final moments of the show as well. Remember that we're bringing you live commentary in partnership with SportyBet, our broadcast partners. Remember that SportyBet do have the rights for the territory of Ghana. So Sporty TV and SportyBet are our partners for bringing you the live commentary of the Euros. Remember, we brought you the opening game yesterday, and of course, we're going to bring you some other big games as well as the final game of Euro 2024. Well, the last time it was Italy, and who will win it this time? Well, you just follow us for all the analysis and all the special programs that we're going to bring you here on our networks. Well, we're still on the matter of, you know, getting proper sponsorship for some of our clubs and getting them properly structured so that they don't get themselves into such situations. That said as well, we have, during the week, we had the launch, the maiden launch of the Democracy Cup, which was headlined by the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, together with some leaders in Parliament. That was a very colourful launch. And so it's going to be played between Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak. Another big cup game, which is, geared towards, having some more variety on our football calendar. We have that all over the world. And also, to also send the message of peace and ensuring that we go through a very successful presidential and parliamentary poll in December. But beyond that as well, I do remember that the Sanitation Minister, Honourable Frida Prempeh, raised an issue about Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak and how the smaller clubs are now becoming major. Now, do remember that Samatex FC may not be a traditional club, but have run away as winners of the Ghana Premier League. Tomorrow they will be playing their coronation game as well. But the bigger conversation about, you know, our big clubs and their performances and all of that. Hearts of Oak this weekend are having to ensure that they win and make sure they get those 3 points. Otherwise, it could be something that we have never dreamt of before. And Accra Hearts of Oak possibly slumping into relegation? Nana?
Well, I don't think that would be bad, to be perfectly honest with you. Because
Accra Hearts of Oak going into relegation?
I don't think it would be bad. I think it's you know, it's part of the solution to all the problems we face, to be perfectly honest with you. Because, look, I mean, you've got this Democracy Cup, and who is playing? What to go against? Aren't we tired of this? Aren't we tired of this all the time? Somerset just won the league. Why can't they play someone else in this Democracy Cup? They're the league champions. These two clubs that we're talking about, they've been fighting relegation all season. What is it? What is it that every time, President's Cup, Democracy Cup, FTN Cup, any cup, it's going to be Kumasi, Asante Kotoko, and Accra, Arsenal?
No, Nana. Well, before you go on, Nana, whether or not they're performing well, you know, their names resonate. Their names immediately turn a neck. Unfortunately, our clubs, the Summer Texas and others, are now growing their respective supporters' bases. So, would you blame anybody from a marketing perspective if they want to do a special cup game and they bring Hearts and Kotoko together?
Oh, well, from a marketing perspective, yes, it's fully understood. I understand that, you know. But what I'm saying to you is this: look, it's tiring. It's tiring. It's boring. There are other clubs here. Use other clubs. Let other clubs, because you see, this is the problem. Look, I doubt Accra Hearts of Oak will get relegated come this weekend, because everyone will be doing and I'm talking about people in other clubs as well. They'll be doing everything possible to ensure that Hearts stay in the Premiership. Because even though we are all these other clubs, at the end of the day, the person who bankrolls Summertex, for example, he's a supporter of Hearts of Oak. You know, someone who you know, bankrolls, you know, Hearts of Lion. He's a supporter of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And that's how all these clubs are. So their interest, these two clubs, and I think it's not right. I don't think it's right. Because this is something, again, that makes us have to question the integrity of our league. Look, they're not the only two clubs. And we talk about, yes, they turn heads and supporters go there. It's just like saying, you know, the Ghana Black Stars are the Brazilians of Africa. Please, we need to move on. We need to move on from all of this. It's not the way it was years ago. Things have changed. Things have really changed.
All right.
We have not changed along with it. It's the problem.
Okay, but well, the fixture has already done. It's been launched. So you and I are going to watch that game at all costs. I've suggested to the organizers that we have it at the new baby, which is the University of Ghana Stadium. He has a smaller space, and it will be nice to, you know, have that very intimidating feel, you know, with the two clubs play there. It won't be a bad idea, would it?
Well, I mean, the Accra Sports Stadium is ruined. Baba Yara Stadium isn't fit for purpose. The Tamale Stadium, Cape is almost gone to the dogs. Where we've left, Second D, well, we know what's happened to that. It's not fit to hold anything. So, yes, I guess the only place that we're left with is the University Stadium. So, yeah, why not hold it there? And soon that stadium is going to be in the same decrepit state as all the other stadiums. Come on now, there must be another way. There must be another way. Seriously, I mean, we're doing the same things all over again, expecting different results, and it's not going to happen that way now, honestly. It's just not going to happen that way. Seriously, You know, it's disappointing. What do we learn season after season? What do we learn? We say we're football people. What is it we really learn season after season? I just can't tell. I can't tell. I can't put my hand on my heart and say we learn anything at all. We learn absolutely nothing. We perpetuate the same things all over again, season after season, and we learn nothing. And we are not progressing. We're not progressing. Our headline sponsors, they turn a blind eye to us. They don't want to be associated with us because we're not running football properly in this country. We're not. It's a big problem, Nat. It's a big problem. I think other people have to get involved in the running of our football. It shouldn't be something that's just left to so-called football people because their understanding of football is minimal. It's minimal, honestly. It's minimal. They're passionate, but in terms of running association football, they're not up to the task. We need other professional people to be involved, just as it's done in other countries. We don't have a situation in other countries where they say we are football people, so we're the ones who are running it. They've got lots of other, wide variety of professionals who are involved to ensure that the integrity is maintained, to ensure that there's good finance, to ensure so many different things. But here, we seem to say, well, we're different, but we're not. The model of association football is the same globally, wherever you may go. Wherever you go, it's the same. But we are failing to apply that model because we think somehow we're different because we're Ghanaians. That's not the way forward. Honestly, no, it's not the way forward. I'm saddened that the Democracy Cup is yet again cut upon hearts. I'm very sad about that.
Well,
not moving forward.
we sure will create the excitement, Nana. Okay,
well,
so
we've got no choice, have we? We've got no choice.
We sure will create the excitement. But Nana, just before we wrap things up here, you know, let's quickly take a look at the Euros and who you probably would put your hand on after what we saw yesterday, that big showpiece that we saw yesterday. Hungary versus Switzerland, Spain versus Croatia, and Italy versus Albania. Victor says he thinks that Italy will take this one again. I don't know what you think. So Hungary versus Switzerland.
It's a good shout. It's a good shout, but I love Spain. To be perfectly honest, I love the Spanish. I love the way they play their football. You know, Italy do look good. I mean, well, England gave it to them the last time, didn't they? I mean, you know. But I'd go for Spain any day of the week. I think the Spanish play the best European football.
Okay. All right. The Spanish. I don't know who your money is on, and that's the reason why you have to follow us on Joy Sports. And tomorrow as well, there will be Slovenia versus Denmark and Egypt playing Serbia, while Belgium plays Slovakia. Who wins this one? We'll see how things go. We'll just see how things go. And the whole, you know, conversation about Cristiano Ronaldo and whether he can do some last-minute magic again looks like it could be his last tournament. Well, we don't know about that yet. On Tuesday, it will be Turkey versus Georgia, and then Portugal versus Czech Republic. Let's see how those ones go as well. And then just before we wrap things up here, the Ghana Football Awards has been launched. You know that we are a major partner in the rollout of the Ghana Football Awards. Last year, it was Kudus Mohammed. And interestingly, Kudus Mohammed has made it again into the nominee list for the main award, which is the Footballer of the Year. So West Ham's Kudus Mohammed is in there. Osman Bukhari of Red Star Belgrade is in there. And Abdul Fattah Isahaku of Leicester City doing all the wonderful stuff and making sure that they secured qualification into the English Premier League. Inaki Williams of Athletic Bilbao, the latest husband in town. So this quartet made it into that final list. And of course, the best African international player, which is one which is very much sought after at the Ghana Football Awards. Ademola Lookman of Nigeria and Atalanta, beg your pardon. Victor Boniface of Bayer Leverkusen in Nigeria. And Edmond Tapsoba of Bayer Leverkusen and Burkina Faso. They are the three battling it out for the best African international player. We sure will make time to do more justice to this during the week. And so we'll be doing some more analysis and bringing you some custom shows, as we've already told you, for the Ghana football as well as the Euros. So we're entering a very thick period of football, even though we're entering the off-season, but there's more to discuss and more to look forward to. Nana, it's been wonderful having you here on the show. Thank you so much. And let's just hold you to your word. You say Italy? Or Spain,
no,
rather.
Spain.
Spain for you. Spain. Okay.
Yes.
Spain to win the Euros. All right. Thank you so much, Nana. And
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful. All right, so thank you all so much for making it with us this afternoon on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM. Thanks to all those who contributed to the show. Next week, we're going to be bringing you a big conversation with a personality right here on the show. And so thanks to the whole production team. Thanks to my lead producer, Benaya Elom Dafiamekpo, and David, my director as well. We will be back, like I said, next week, but there's a lot to look forward to this week. We're in thick moments of big commentary on the big games at the ongoing Euros in Germany, and there's a lot of analysis, a lot in terms of our promotions and all of that to follow, and that's the reason why you have to be with us throughout the period. Well, coming up very shortly is Showbiz A to Z with Kwame Dazi and the rest of the crew. You have a wonderful weekend, and I will catch you soon. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and I have